Your body is this absolutely incredible, complex machine. But have you ever stopped to wonder how it's actually built? Well, today we're zooming way, way in. We're going to look at the blueprint of you, starting from the tiniest living part all the way up to the systems that keep everything running in perfect harmony. So let's jump right in. So let's kick things off with a big question. If you could zoom in past your skin, past your muscles, past everything, what's the absolute smallest, independent, living thing that you would find? And the answer is the cell. Yep, every single thing that makes you, and everything you do, it all starts right here. These are the basic building blocks of all life. They're the smallest living units that come together to construct every single part of us. To really get our heads around the whole amazing structure, we've got to start with a single brick, right? So let's take a look inside one of these incredible microscopic powerhouses.
Okay, so every cell has a border, kind of like a bouncer at a club door. It's called the plasma membrane. It's made of what's called a phospholipid bilayer, which is just a fancy way of saying 2 layers of fat molecules. And that structure is totally key to its main job, being selectively permeable. It is super picky about what it lets in and what it kicks out.
And what's really fascinating is just how different it is on the inside versus the outside. Inside, you've got this stuff called cytosol. It's a potassium-rich fluid where tons of chemical reactions are going off all the time. But on the outside, you have the extracellular fluid, which is what all of our cells are bathed in. It's almost like every single cell has its own unique little atmosphere. Calling a cell a building block doesn't quite do it justice. It's a very, very busy place. It helps to think of it less like a brick and more like a bustling city, filled with all these specialized structures called organelles, and every single one has a critical job to do. First up on our tour, we've got the mitochondria. These are the power plants of our cellular city. Their entire job is to crank out energy in the form of a molecule called ATP. Think of ATP as the cell's rechargeable battery. And this makes total sense. Cells that have to work harder, like your muscle cells, are absolutely packed with thousands more of these little power plants. Next, let's meet the ribosomes. If mitochondria are the power plants, then the ribosomes are the factories. These guys are constantly at work, taking genetic instructions and using them to build all the different proteins our bodies need to function. They are the construction workers of the cell. So a protein gets built, then what? Where does it go? Well, that's a job for the Golgi apparatus. This is the city's post office, the shipping and receiving department. It takes those brand new proteins, does a few modifications, sorts them, and then packages them up for delivery to exactly where they need to go in the body. And where do all the instructions for running this entire city come from? Well, they're all stored in this central library, the nucleus. Inside are the blueprints for absolutely everything, our chromosomes. And get this, in pretty much every single one of your cells, there are exactly 46 of them. Okay, so we've met the key players in the city. Now let's see how this place actually gets any work done. How does our cellular city perform its 2 most important daily jobs, building stuff and powering itself? Making a protein is actually a 2-step dance. First, there's transcription. That's where the cell makes a copy of the DNA blueprint, but in a slightly different language called RNA. Then comes translation. This is where the ribosomes read that RNA copy and assemble the protein piece by piece. It's basically like photocopying a page from a giant cookbook and then taking that copy to the kitchen to follow the recipe. And what about keeping the lights on? Well, that whole process is called cellular respiration. The cell takes in fuel, usually a sugar like glucose, and breaks it down. The energy that gets released is then used to recharge a molecule called ADP, basically a dead battery, by slapping another phosphate onto it. That turns it into the fully charged, ready-to-go energy source, ATP. So all of these reactions, building up proteins, breaking down glucose, they're all part of this huge picture we call metabolism. It's the grand sum of everything. And when the building up reactions, which are known as anabolism, start to outpace the breaking down ones, well, the result can be something we're all pretty familiar with: weight gain. All right, so we've got our single cell, our little microscopic city, but you're made of trillions of them. So how in the world do we get from a single cell to a complex person? Well, we go to the next level of organization, tissues. So what is a tissue, really? Well, it's what you get when a whole bunch of similar cells decide to team up and work together to do one specific job. They specialize, they cooperate. Honestly, it's the ultimate example of teamwork on a microscopic scale. And here's something that just blows my mind. For all the incredible complexity in the human body, we're talking your brain, your heart, your bones, everything, it's all built from just 4 basic types of tissue. That's it. Just 4 master blueprints for the whole shebang. And those 4 master types are epithelial tissue, that's the stuff that covers surfaces, connective tissue, which supports and kind of glues everything together, muscle tissue, which of course creates movement, and nervous tissue, which sends all the signals. Oh, and notice what's not on that list. Something like cardiovascular tissue isn't a primary type, because your heart and blood vessels are actually super complex organs built from a mix of these 4 basic types. Let's zoom in on that epithelial tissue for a sec. It comes in 2 main flavors. You've got simple epithelium, which is just 1 cell layer thick. It's perfect for places where things need to pass through really quickly, for absorption. Then you have stratified epithelium, which has a bunch of layers stacked up. This makes it perfect for protection in places that get a lot of wear and tear, like your skin. The structure perfectly matches the function. It's brilliant. Connective tissue is a whole different ballgame. The best way to think about it is like a Jell-O salad. You've got cells, like fibroblasts, and they're kind of scattered around like the pieces of fruit. But the real magic is in the Jell-O itself, a mix of a ground substance and different fibers. You've got tough collagen fibers for strength and stretchy elastic fibers for flexibility. And that unique mix is what gives everything from your bones to your cartilage its specific properties. So, we've gone from cells building tissues and tissues building organs. But what's the grand overarching principle that makes sure this entire massive, complicated system works in perfect harmony? That principle is called homeostasis. It's the body's absolutely incredible ability to maintain a stable, constant internal environment no matter what's going on outside. I mean, think about it. Whether it's blazing hot or freezing cold out, your body is constantly working behind the scenes to keep things like your temperature and your blood sugar perfectly level. And the main tool the body uses to maintain this perfect balance is a process called negative feedback. Just think of it like the thermostat in your house. When a variable, like your body temperature, starts to drift too high, a response kicks in to bring it back down. If it gets too low, another response brings it back up. The goal is always to return to that stable, happy, normal range. So there you have it. From a single cell with its own bustling internal city to tissues working together in concert, all of it governed by this relentless drive for balance. It's just an extraordinary blueprint, isn't it? It kind of makes you wonder, with trillions of these tiny machines working in perfect harmony every second of your life, what's the one process you're most curious about now?